Welcome to UK Worlds, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. The capture of Nicolas Maduro in Caracas marks a moment that many thought they might never witness. After years of controversy, allegations, and international pressure, the image of the Venezuelan leader in custody is both shocking and surreal. News of his arrest has sent shockwaves across the globe, dominating headlines and sparking urgent discussions in capitals from Washington to Moscow, and from Bogotá to Brussels. For many Venezuelans, seeing Maduro in U.S. custody felt like the end of a long, painful era defined by hardship, fear, and uncertainty. Some celebrated in the streets, while others watched in disbelief, unsure of what this moment truly means for their future. But this is not the end of Venezuela's story. Just the start of a new, uncertain chapter. The city of Caracas, shrouded in both darkness and hope, stands as a symbol of a nation at a crossroads. Maduro's arrest, while historic, doesn't solve Venezuela's deep-rooted crisis. The scars of economic collapse, food shortages, and mass migration remain painfully visible. The country's problems go far beyond one man. Broken institutions, a shattered economy, and a government apparatus that has struggled to serve its people for years. Years of political infighting and social unrest have left a society deeply divided, with families and friends often on opposite sides of the struggle. The systems of control and corruption built over decades won't disappear overnight. Rooting out these entrenched networks will take time, courage, and vigilance. The power vacuum left behind could bring more instability and suffering for ordinary Venezuelans, who already face daily struggles for food, medicine, and safety. To understand what comes next, we must look at the road that led here: a disputed election, brutal crackdowns on dissent, and a government that clung to power at all costs. The world has watched, often divided, as international leaders debated how to respond, with some calling for intervention and others urging restraint. Venezuela's future now depends on its people. The emergence of new leaders willing to rebuild trust, and the resilience of a nation that has endured so much. Real international support for democracy and human rights is needed. This moment demands more than just a change of faces at the top. The challenges ahead are immense, from rebuilding basic services to restoring faith in government and law. This is about more than a captured leader. It's about 30 million people facing a humanitarian catastrophe and the urgent need for hope, stability, and opportunity. The arrest of Maduro closes one chapter, but Venezuela's struggle for freedom, dignity, and a better future is far from over. The next pages are yet to be written. The world is watching closely, but understanding the complexities and history of Venezuela is the first step toward meaningful action and real change. The story of Venezuela is not finished. Its people, naar joer door denkter boerman, soger bustin, dix door jurden dan stein, donner joer George justice joer joer, their resilience will shape what comes next. Maduro's rule, which had once seemed unshakable, ended with astonishing speed and finality. In the early hours of January 3, 2026, while most of Caracas slept, the city was about to witness a historic turning point. Operation Absolute Reserve, a meticulously planned U.S. Special Forces mission, filled the skies above the Venezuelan capital with more than 150 aircraft, including helicopters and transport planes. The operation unfolded over 2 tense hours, targeting strategic military sites and culminating in the dramatic capture of Maduro and his wife, Tilia Flores, at a heavily guarded compound. For years, the U.S. government had branded Maduro a narco-terrorist, accusing him of drug trafficking and corruption, and had offered a staggering $25 million reward for information leading to his arrest. While the mission achieved its military objectives, the aftermath was chaotic and tragic. At least 40 Venezuelans lost their lives in the confusion as clashes erupted between loyalist forces, civilians, and the invading troops. Maduro and Flores were quickly transported out of Venezuela, flown under heavy guard to the United States, where they now await trial in a high-security facility in Brooklyn, New York. In court, Maduro pleaded not guilty to all charges, defiantly claiming that his arrest was nothing short of a kidnapping orchestrated by a foreign power intent on regime change. The operation represents a dramatic escalation in U.S. foreign policy, with officials such as Secretary of State Marco Rubio defending the intervention as a necessary step to restore democracy and end years of suffering in Venezuela. Yet, the use of military force without international approval has ignited fierce debate worldwide, raising urgent questions about national sovereignty, the legality of intervention, and the future of international law. The military operation was the climax of years of crisis, ignited by the disputed July 2024 presidential election. Millions of Venezuelans voted, hoping for change, as the opposition united behind Edmundo González Urrutia. But the government delayed results, then declared Maduro the winner, sparking disbelief and outrage. International observers reported a lack of transparency, while the opposition claimed victory based on their own tallies. The regime refused to release detailed results or allow an audit, dismissing all challenges as foreign plots. This blatant disregard for democracy triggered a wave of national protest. Citizens took to the streets demanding their votes be respected. The protests were peaceful, led by ordinary people armed with hope. The regime's brutal response set the stage for Maduro's eventual fall. The Maduro regime met peaceful protests with brutal repression. Security forces and armed colectivos unleashed violence, turning marches into chaos. At least 25 people were killed, and over 2,000 arrested, including minors. Many detainees were ordinary citizens, charged with vague crimes and subjected to torture or forced confessions. Families were left in agony, not knowing the fate of their loved ones. The crackdown extended to political opponents and human rights defenders. Hundreds were detained, including prominent leaders like Maria Corina Machado. This campaign of fear fueled a mass exodus. Nearly 8 million have fled since 2014. Repression wasn't just a reaction, it was state policy to eliminate opposition. The scars of this violence will shape Venezuela's future. The U.S. operation to capture Maduro exposed deep global divisions. Some hailed it as a blow for freedom, others condemned it as a violation of sovereignty. Latin American countries, wary of U.S. intervention, called for Venezuelan-led solutions. Argentina, under President Milei, celebrated Maduro's capture as a victory for liberty. European nations urged restraint and a swift democratic transition, stopping short of endorsing military action. The UN and International Criminal Court stressed respect for sovereignty and ongoing investigations. The world agrees Venezuela is in crisis, but not on how to solve it. No leader was more enthusiastic about Maduro's capture than Argentina's President Javier Milei. For Milei, this was more than just a diplomatic event, it was a defining moment that validated his fierce opposition to authoritarianism in Latin America. His reaction was immediate and unrestrained, capturing the attention of both supporters and critics across the region. An outspoken critic of left-wing regimes, Milei declared freedom advances on social media. His posts quickly went viral, energizing his base and sending a clear message to the world. Argentina would not stand by in the face of what he called dictatorship. Milei's online presence became a rallying point for those who shared his vision of a new political order in South America. Argentina had severed ties with Venezuela in 2024, becoming one of Maduro's fiercest critics. This bold move marked a dramatic shift in Argentina's foreign policy, signaling a willingness to confront regional powers head-on. The decision was controversial, but Milei insisted it was necessary to defend democratic values. The feud was personal and political, with both leaders trading insults and diplomatic blows. Their rivalry played out in the media, with each accusing the other of undermining democracy and stability. The tension between Buenos Aires and Caracas became a symbol of the broader ideological battle dividing the continent. Argentina sheltered Venezuelan opposition members in its embassy, enduring a prolonged standoff. The embassy became a flashpoint, with security tightened and international observers watching closely. For many, it was a testament to Milei's willingness to take risks for his principles. The Milei government's support for Maduro's opponents was unwavering, even at the cost of diplomatic crisis. Milei met openly with Venezuelan dissidents, offering them a platform and promising continued support. His administration's actions drew both praise and condemnation from the international community. The conflict deepened when an Argentine officer was arrested in Venezuela, further poisoning relations. The incident sparked protests in both countries and led to urgent calls for the officer's release. It underscored just how high the stakes had become in this diplomatic standoff. For Milei, Maduro's fall is both a personal victory and a chance to see a like-minded government in Caracas. He sees this as a turning point, not just for Argentina, but for the future of democracy in the region. His supporters believe this moment could inspire similar movements elsewhere. Argentina's stance stands in stark contrast to its more cautious neighbors. While other South American leaders urge restraint and dialogue, Milei's bold approach has set Argentina apart, making it a central player in the unfolding drama of Venezuela's future. The Caracas raid sparked fierce debate in the U.S. deploying troops to capture a foreign leader divided politicians and the public. Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended the operation as necessary for democracy and U.S. interests. Supporters argued years of sanctions failed, leaving force as the only option. Critics, including Kamala Harris, called it unlawful and warned of global backlash. The debate reflects deep divisions over America's role in the world and immigration policy. Some question whether the operation was about democracy or projecting strength and controlling migration. As Maduro's trial unfolds, the political battle in Washington will only intensify. With Maduro jailed, Venezuela faces a dangerous power vacuum. Several factions now vie for control, but the path to democracy is uncertain. Edmundo González Urrutia, believed by many to have won the 2024 election, is a leading candidate. Maria Corina Machado, a popular opposition leader, also commands support. But key institutions remain in the hands of Maduro loyalists. International powers are divided. Argentina backs the opposition, while the U.S. sends mixed signals. Some in Washington even suggest working with figures from the old regime. Meanwhile, Maduro's allies are consolidating power, appointing hardliners to key posts. For Venezuelans, the immediate future may bring more power struggles and repression. The dream of democracy endures, but the obstacles are formidable. Venezuela's crisis is more than a distant headline. It's a human tragedy with global impact. Nearly 8 million have fled, creating the largest refugee crisis in the Western Hemisphere. The country's recovery is vital for regional stability and humanitarian relief. Venezuela's fate is a test for democracy in Latin America and beyond. If democracy emerges, it offers hope. If chaos prevails, it emboldens authoritarians. The U.S. military action sets a controversial precedent. Was it necessary or reckless? The world's response will shape international norms for years to come. The International Criminal Court's investigation reminds us that justice must be global. Venezuela's future is about people, those inside, and those longing to return. The world must support Venezuelans in their fight for freedom and dignity.